Hello and welcome, boys and girls and grown-ups as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 0. Numerals. We use them every day and it is so common, so normal. We call them Arabic numerals. Well, but are they really Arabic? I will share with you a forgotten story in this video. Imagine yourself attending school several hundred years ago, somewhere in medieval Europe. You find the letters of alphabet familiar. But what about math? Yes, they were using Roman numerals. Basic math was quite easy, but bigger numbers, well, it was quite difficult. Let's start from the very beginning. His name was Muhammad ibn Musa al-Khwarizmi. Although the name sounds Arabic, he was Persian, a Persian mathematician, astronomer, and geographer. Never heard of him? Well, he got lost in the history a bit. He lived between 780 and 850 AD. His name was Latinized as algorithmy. This sounds familiar, right? Algorithm. He developed a mathematical method called algebra. Well, this sounds familiar too. We know the word algebra. Approximately 1200 years ago, he put together an atlas of the known world and he was calculating the movement of the planets and stars. We can simply say he was a forefather of the math as we know it today. What? A Persian 1200 years old? 1200 years ago? Yes. It's true even though it surprises you very much. Al-Khwarizmi was the one who introduced the so-called Arabic numerals to the world. He was not an Arab but a Persian. However, the numerals are not originally Persian. Where are they from? Historical records say that for a period of time, Al-Khwarizmi worked as an instructor in the so-called House of Wisdom or Grand Library of Baghdad. This institution was a meeting place of all scholars and scientists of the world civilizations of those times: Persian, Babylonian, Greek, Arabic, or Hindu. Al-Khwarizmi was very eager to learn new things and also to share his discoveries and experience. Al-Khwarizmi was passionate about mathematics. He accepted an invitation of the local leaders to write a book for the general public explaining everything about basic calculations when conducting trade or making measurements. The title of the book was not very short. The Compendious Book on Calculation by Completion and Balancing. Meow. In this book, or scroll I should say, Al-Khwarizmi explained things about linear equations and quadratic equations with what he called algebra, completion. It does not mean he invented algebra, but he developed it to the level we know it today. When writing his book, He used the knowledge and experience of all great civilizations of his time. He introduced lots of simplifications to make daily life with math easier. When studying ancient Indian texts, he learned about their numeric system. It was very strange and weird. In India, they were using digits from 0, a numeral with no value, to 9, a so-called decimal system. When the 0 followed any other numeral, the value of that particular number was suddenly 10 times higher. 2 zeros meant 100 times higher value, and so on. It was much easier to understand the system and to make daily calculations. Among the rich people of that time, Al-Khwarizmi's book became a bestseller very quickly. Why just rich people? Well, books or scrolls in those days were very, very expensive, and more, ordinary people were usually illiterate. It means they couldn't read and write. And now the Arabs come to the scene. As traders buying goods in Asia and selling in Europe, they brought the new numeric system to Europe. European traders as well as scholars were absolutely amazed and excited. The Indian system was much, much easier than Roman numerals, which were too complicated, using letters of the alphabet and having no concept of 0. Who brought this great numeric system to Europe? Arabs did. Well, they started calling it Arabic numerals. Al-Khwarizmi called algorithmy, and his revolutionary book were soon forgotten. However, the rulers of medieval Europe were not very happy with the new numerals. For example, in 1299, the city of Florence in present-day Italy passed a law forbidding the use of the Arabic numerals. Why? It was not because they didn't like the Arab traders, but they argued the new numerals can be very easily changed, and this way it is easy to commit fraud. For example, 6 can be easily turned to 8. You can add a 0 or several zeros here and there and get a lot of money for nothing. It took more than 200 years. The scholars across Europe widely accepted the Arabic numerals. They were calling them Arabic due to the fact Arab traders brought them to Europe. At the beginning of the 16th century in Europe, nobody remembered a Persian scholar, Al-Khwarizmi, called Algorithmy. Nobody remembered his book explaining that the numerals they liked so much were originally from India. I will be very happy to hear from you, boys and girls, and grown-ups as well. Watch my videos, write me in the comments, follow me on social media, and see you very soon in my next video. Cheerio!